How's it going, everyone? Wednesday, September 15th. So right here, this is the newsletter watch list. This is what I put together every single day, and I post on my private Twitter 30 minutes before market open, making sure to put all the levels, any sort of news that's related to everything, just kind of an overall breakdown of the market in general. So if you're at all interested in this, I will post a link in the description below, but now to just check out what I'm looking at today. So I'm watching Tesla, Microsoft, AMC, AFRM, GS, and RBLX. Okay, so now looking at SPY, so it's definitely weak the last handful of days, still a strong chart overall, bigger picture. If it takes out this 448, which is right around prior day high, I think it looks good to the upside. And if it takes out 443, I think it has room to the downside. Okay, now looking at Qs, so it looks very similar to the SPY, kind of trapped right between the 9 EMA and the 20 SMA. If it takes out that prior day high, 378.50 area, I think it has room to the upside. And if it takes out prior day's low, right around 374.50, I think it has room to the downside. Okay, now to get into the watch list itself, and to be honest, I don't really like a lot today. There's not a lot of really clean looking daily charts, and that's what I'm all about. So when I see that, I already know in the back of my mind that it's probably not a day to push it unless for some reason things really wake up and start to trend in one direction. But besides that, as far as daily charts, nothing looks amazing. But looking at Tesla, always have it up because this is my favorite stock to trade. If it takes out this pre-market high area, 748, I think it looks like it has some room to the upside. And if it breaks pre-market low and is weak, right around that 742, I think it has room to the downside. Okay, now Microsoft. So had some news that it's increasing its dividend, has a big stock buyback, $60 billion, and got the gap up. It is close to all-time highs, but we are in a market where I feel like these gap ups kind of get sold. I don't want to have a bias, so I'm just using the levels. If it can take out kind of right around this pre-market high area, 304 and hold up, it does look good to the upside. And if it takes out this 303 pre-market low area, it does look like it can move into the downside gap. And now AMC, so pretty nasty candle the prior day. It lost the 9 EMA. Overall, the daily is not that clean, but there is increased volume in the pre-market, so I felt like it was worth having on watch. If it takes out kind of this 47 area and it goes red to green, maybe there's some room to the upside. And if it takes out kind of this pre-market low, 45 area, I feel like it has room to the downside. Also knowing that the 20 SMA on the daily is at 43.18, so that could be support. And now AFRM, so obviously had that big momentum candle a couple days ago. It's pulled back a little bit, but it's still holding up all right. And the 9 EMA is starting to catch up. So for some reason, the market's strong and this takes out 115. I feel like this looks pretty good to the upside. If it's weak and it breaks 105, I feel like this can work its way into the downside gap. And now Goldman Sachs, so that was a pretty nasty candle the prior day. It lost the 9 EMA and the 20 SMA. This was a big area of support, kind of this 403, 402 area. It has lost that in the pre-market, so it does look like there is room to the downside. If for some reason this goes red to green and it takes out 403, I feel like maybe there's upside room. But if it breaks the 398 kind of pre-market low area, I feel like it does have room to the downside. Also knowing that the 50 SMA is at 391.60, so whether or not it wants to test that, I have no idea. But sometimes stocks tend to move towards those moving averages, and then they can be support. And last on the list, RBLX. So kind of a choppy daily chart. The reason why I like it is because it had a really big move a couple days ago and it has since given all of that back. So people who are going for the breakout, I feel like are stuck, and it's getting the gap down this morning. So it broke a lot of support. This 80 level was a really big area of support. It has since traded below that. So now just knowing that if it can take out this pre-market low, 78 area, I feel like it has room to the downside. If for some reason this goes red to green and the dip gets bought, and it takes out right around this pre-market high area, 83, I feel like it has room to the upside. A couple minutes before market open, they're having issues. So I literally had to very quickly pull up 6 charts of the names that I'm watching because Thinkorswim is having issues just before the exact moment when I need them the most. Welcome to trading. Sometimes you have some crazy things that happen that you cannot control, and then last minute you have to be able to figure it out and fix it. So lucky enough I was able to get those charts up. But that happened at the worst possible time, like literally 2 minutes before opening bell. So I'm keeping an eye on Microsoft. Pretty big move off the open. I do not like that this pullback is pretty aggressive. You know, when it comes to momentum, I really like big moves to happen and them hold up and show some strength, or at least continue to hold that strength. It doesn't mean this can't go higher, but the fact that this was immediately followed by a ton of weakness and almost gave that first 2-minute candle back just kind of lets me know that maybe I need to be a little careful, but I'm still obviously going to watch it. And then on my left screen, like I've mentioned before, I have all the other names. They're intraday charts, 2-minute charts, and I have the 9 EMA and the VWAP as the indicators. And I'm just looking at all of them together to wait for one that forms a pattern that I like. And then that's when I'm willing to switch over to Lightspeed and give it a chance. I'm going to go for the 305 break right there. Just want to see if this can catch a little bit of momentum. I feel like if this can take out that 305, it's got a chance, but I obviously want to be careful. And then high day is 305.22. So I'd like to see it break the high day, maybe catch a little bit of momentum. All right, 305, very nice. Okay, nice break. All right. And that was a nasty yank, so I got to get out of this. I got to get out of that. That sucked. That was a pattern that looked good. To be honest, I should have gotten out of that sooner too. I wanted to give it a little bit of a chance. I mean, that just was an aggressive rejection, and unfortunately, I just got caught in that, so that sucked. Well, that was pretty unfortunate, and that just shows the reality of trading. Sometimes you get stuck in something like that. That's a pretty nasty candle. Nobody could have predicted that. Pattern looked pretty good. I think I could have got out a little bit sooner. 304.50, the moment that started to come in. I think the technical difficulties, me being thrown off a little bit, probably had to do with me being a little bit more patient. You know, that easily could have saved me 50 cents. I could have probably got out of those contracts right around $2, but the premiums drained just so fast. And this is the risk with options, is if you get caught on the wrong side of something that yanks pretty aggressively like that, the premiums can drain insanely fast. So it's definitely risky. I'm actually now looking to the downside of Microsoft, because I feel like if the market continues to show a little bit of weakness and it can take out the lows, this could work its way into the downside gap. I'm going to go for the low a day right there. 303 pre-market low. If it can take that out, I feel like there's room to the downside. Just watching this 303. I want to see this 303 break pretty quick, and then I feel like this really could work its way into the downside gap. All right, well, that got back over a VWAP, and I eventually just had to take the loss. So obviously today is not my day. I just got caught on the wrong side of this. I probably jumped into that short just simply because I got caught in the long, so I felt the need to maybe have to trade this again. And welcome to the reality of trading. Not really happy about today. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Really, it's giving back, a handful of days of work. And, it totally sucks. But the last thing that I'm going to do now is try to, really get down on myself or be too upset about it. The trading was definitely not great. I ended up holding this a little bit longer than I should have. And then because of that, I ended up switching, taking the downside of the trade, but realizing that, Microsoft is strong on the daily, so I should not have shorted this. So even though this was a nice pattern, just factoring in the daily chart, right? The daily chart is strong. There's no reason to fight that. If anything, let this continue to sell off more, maybe form a cleaner pattern, or just be patient and wait. Just be patient and wait and see what it's going to do. And then at that point, make a decision. So I just got totally chopped up. And I'm going to make sure now that I just back off, because I already kind of broke a little bit of a rule of let's not push it. Let's not let red get worse. And that's exactly what I've done at this point. So 0 for 2 on Microsoft, a decent red day, but I'm just going to call it so I don't get in any more trouble. Totally sucks, but it is what it is. So now let's just go check out the P&L. Ended up losing $760 on that really aggressive stuff, and $490 kind of chasing the lows and then holding it a little too long to be down $1,250, which is not fun, but I know that, it only takes me a little bit to be able to get that back. I do not want to let $1,250 become minus $2,000, minus $3,000, minus $4,000, because that's when it becomes a disaster. This is the reality of trading, and unfortunately today, I was just on the wrong side of it. I definitely could have traded a little better. I think Thinkorswim being down threw me off mentally a little bit, and then you can clearly see that in the trades today. Hopefully you had a better day than me. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I just want to highlight a couple really cool things that I have to offer. The first is my newsletter watch list that I'm going to be posting on my private Twitter 30 minutes before the open of each trading day. Here's an example of what that's going to look like. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the market, the SPY, the Qs, the upside levels, the downside levels, and then a sentence or two as to the overall bigger picture. make sure to highlight any market news or events that are happening that day. And then I'm going to list the 4 to 6 stocks that I'm watching that day, if there's any company specific news, all the upside levels and the downside levels, and then do a quick bigger picture, a couple sentences as to what's going on in the daily chart. This is everything that's in my head prior to market open. This is how I prepare, and a really easy way to get access to my trading process. One page with everything I'm looking at, all the technical levels, and all the news delivered 30 minutes before market open in a really organized fashion. Also, I have a call service, so if you want something that's a little bit less of a commitment, you want to connect with me directly, talk about my trading, my journey along the way, and just connect with another trader, this is really great. And this can be a video call or a regular call, whatever you're comfortable with. It's a one-time fee, and it's going to be for 1 hour. So if you're interested in either one of these, I will put the links in the description below.